The lunch rush had barely started when the diner door swung open, and a group of teenagers walked in, loud, laughing, the kind of rich kids who thought the world existed to entertain them. Behind the counter, Emma, a waitress in her mid-20s, wiped her hands on her faded apron. Her uniform wasn't new, her sneakers were scuffed, and her tired smile had been practiced through too many double shifts. "Hey guys, table for 4, she asked kindly. One of the girls, dressed head to toe in designer clothes, gave her a slow, judgmental once-over. "Sure," she said, voice dripping with sarcasm. "Wherever the aesthetic fits." Her friends snickered as they sat down. Emma didn't react. She'd learned long ago that pride didn't pay bills. She brought them menus and water, still polite. The same girl, Tiffany, leaned back in her seat. "You know, my cleaning lady dresses better than this," she said, loud enough for the whole diner to hear. "Is this, like, the dress code here?" The laughter that followed was sharp and cruel. Emma's hands trembled slightly, but she forced a small smile. "Can I take your order?" Tiffany rolled her eyes. "Sure. Try not to mess it up, sweetheart." Across the diner, a few men in leather jackets looked up from their corner booth, the Hells Angels. They'd been there quietly the whole time, just sipping coffee, talking low. Their leader, Ryder, slowly set his cup down, his gaze flicking to the waitress, then to the laughing teens. Tank muttered, "You hear that?" Ryder's jaw flexed. "Yeah, I heard." Emma turned toward the kitchen, pretending not to notice. But when Tiffany deliberately stuck her foot out and spilled the tray she was carrying, sending coffee crashing to the floor, the laughter started again. Ryder stood. The sound of his chair scraping the floor silenced the whole diner. He walked toward their table, slow and steady, his boots heavy against the tile. "You think that's funny?" he asked quietly. The color drained from Tiffany's face. "We were just." He leaned forward, eyes cold as steel. "That woman's been serving you with respect while you've been acting like spoiled children. Now you're going to clean that up, apologize, and learn what real class looks like." Tiffany's friends froze. No one in the diner dared breathe. The sound of Ryder's voice carried that quiet kind of authority that didn't need volume, just presence. Tiffany tried to laugh it off, her voice shaking. "Oh, come on, we were just joking." Did it look funny to her? Ryder asked, nodding toward Emma, who was still kneeling on the floor, gathering the shattered pieces of the mug with trembling hands. Tiffany's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Her cheeks flushed red. I didn't mean." Ryder crouched beside Emma, helping her pick up the pieces. His big, scarred hands moved gently, careful not to cut her. "You all right, ma'am?" he asked softly. Emma blinked, stunned. "Why, yeah. Thank you." He looked up at Tiffany. "That's what kindness looks like. You should try it sometime." One of Tiffany's friends whispered, "Tiff, let's just go," but Ryder's gaze stopped them cold. "You'll stay right here," he said calmly. "You made the mess, you fix it." Tank, still sitting in the corner booth, grinned. "Want me to grab a mop?" Ryder smirked. "Nah, I think they've got this covered." Tiffany swallowed hard and bent down, picking up shards with shaking hands. The room stayed silent, not mocking this time, but watching. Watching a girl who had everything finally realize how small cruelty looked in the face of decency. When she was done, Ryder nodded toward the counter. "Now, go pay for the mug you broke, and tip her like she deserves." Tiffany stood, humiliated but speechless, fumbling for her card. Her friends followed, quiet as shadows. When she returned from the counter, she placed a $100 bill on the table. "I'm sorry," she said quietly to Emma. "I was awful." Emma gave a small, forgiving smile. "It's okay. We all have bad days. I just hope yours gets better." Ryder's expression softened. "That right there," he said, nodding toward Emma, "is what real class looks like." As the teens left, Ryder tipped his hat at Emma. "You keep your head high, darling. World needs more hearts like yours." She smiled through her tears. "And maybe a few more bikers like you." Tank chuckled from the booth. "We're working on it." The door closed behind the girls, and the diner filled again with quiet. But this time, it wasn't heavy. It was peaceful. The next morning, Emma walked into work early, expecting another ordinary shift, but the diner wasn't ordinary anymore. People she didn't know were waiting outside, holding coffee and flowers. The owner, Mr. Jacobs, waved her over with a grin. "You might want to check this out," he said, handing her his phone. Her eyes widened. There it was, a video. Someone had recorded the entire thing. Tiffany mocking her, throwing the coffee, and then Ryder stepping in, calm and commanding, defending her with just a few powerful words. The caption read, "When kindness meets courage, and bikers remind the world what respect looks like." It had over 2 million views. Comments flooded the screen. "This waitress deserves the world. Those bikers are legends." Faith in humanity restored. Emma covered her mouth in disbelief. I don't understand. Why me?" Mr. Jacobs chuckled. "Guess the world needed to see what decency looks like." That afternoon, Ryder and his crew walked back into the diner, the bell above the door jingling as the crowd inside turned to stare. People clapped, strangers, truckers, even families, all rising to their feet. Emma's eyes filled with tears. "You didn't have to come back." Ryder smiled faintly. "We don't leave our people behind." He handed her a small envelope. Inside was a note written in clean, heavy handwriting. "For new uniforms and maybe a weekend off. The road's got your back. R." Beneath it was a stack of cash, more than she made in a month. She looked up, speechless. "I can't accept this." Tank grinned. "You already did when you kept your kindness instead of fighting back. That's rare, darling. You earned it." Ryder tipped his head. "Use it to make someone else's life easier someday. That's how you pay us back." As they turned to leave, the crowd parted for them like water, and the sound of applause followed them all the way to the door. Outside, Tiffany stood near the parking lot, waiting nervously. Her hair was tied back, her designer jacket gone. When she saw Ryder, she stepped forward. "I wanted to thank you," she said softly. "You were right. I forgot what decency looked like. But I won't again." Ryder nodded once. "Then that's all that matters." And as the engines started up, echoing through the town once more, Emma stood by the window, watching the dust rise. For the first time in years, she didn't feel small. She felt seen. Months later, Emma's story was still alive, shared, reposted, and talked about far beyond that little diner. But it wasn't just a viral clip anymore. It had become something much bigger. The owner used part of the donations that poured in to rebuild the diner. New booths, fresh paint, a glowing sign that now read "Home of the Angel's Brew." People came from towns away just to sit where it all happened, to feel the energy of kindness that had started with one small act of courage. Emma had been offered other jobs, better pay, fancier uniforms, but she stayed. "This place gave me my second chance," she always said. "And the people who stood up for me, they gave me my strength." One Friday evening, as the sun melted into gold across the highway, the familiar rumble of engines filled the air. The crowd inside turned toward the windows. The Hells Angels had returned. Ryder walked in first, smiling as he looked around. "Well, I'll be damned," he said, eyeing the new decor. "Looks like we started something." Emma wiped her hands on her apron and ran over, her eyes bright. "You did more than start something," she said. "You reminded people what decency looks like." Ryder looked around the room, strangers greeting each other, kids laughing, truckers leaving big tips. He smiled softly. "Nah, you did that. We just made some noise so people would hear it." She handed him a fresh cup of coffee, black, just how he liked it. "On the house," she said with a grin. He raised it slightly in a toast. "To the ones who keep showing up, even when the world makes it hard." As they left that night, the sunset caught on the chrome of their bikes, casting red light across the windows. Emma stood by the door, hand over her heart, watching until the last roar of the engines faded into the horizon. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel like just a waitress. She felt like a part of something, a quiet brotherhood of hearts that refused to turn cold. If this story touched your heart, share it. Because kindness doesn't always wear a smile, and heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes, they walk in covered in dust, carrying stories that could change your heart forever.